Hey YouTube, welcome in or welcome back to our channel. If you've been here before, we appreciate you guys returning. My name is Tim. This is Newcraft Workshop. So today we're talking about miter saws. If you are looking to upgrade your current saw, or if you're brand new to woodworking, thinking of purchasing a saw like this, we want to go over a few things that might help you make a better, more informed decision when it comes to buying this tool. There's 5 things that we really want to talk about today. We're going to go over what we really like about this saw. I do have 2 things that I'm not super happy about. We'll share those. They weren't deal breakers in purchasing this, and they wouldn't be deal breakers if I had to do it all over again. For the record, before we get this video started, my saw is powered off as well as unplugged. So you will see my fingers close to the blade pointing things out during this video, as well as my tape measure will be right up against the blade. Safety police, you know who you are. My saw is powered off. We're good to go. Let's get to it. Let's start by talking about the differences in blade diameter. The 2 most common sizes you're going to see, especially if you're shopping at the big box stores, are going to be a 10-inch saw and a 12-inch saw. Whether you do a sliding miter saw or not, there are considerable differences in the thickness and width of stock you can cut with your saw. A 10-inch saw, for example, will only cut a 2x6 at 90 degrees, whereas a 12-inch saw can cut a 2x8. When you start talking about depth of cut, it's also a considerable difference. 1-inch difference in your depth can mean the difference between getting all the way through that piece of stock or having to flip it over and attempt to line it up when you make your cut on the other side. Pieces like crown molding, that's where you're going to see a massive difference in a 12-inch versus a 10-inch. If it's in your budget and it's not going to break the bank, go ahead and step up to a 12-inch saw. You're going to eventually need it, and don't make the mistake we did and regret not buying a 12-inch in the first place. Okay, next we're going to address compound miter cuts. First off, if you're new to woodworking, don't be intimidated by compound cuts. All it is we're making 2 angled cuts on the same piece of stock on 2 different planes at the same time. You do this by rotating the base of your saw left or right to your desired angle, and then you tip the saw left or right to the desired angle to get your bevel cut. When you cut your material at the same time on those 2 planes, that is a compound miter cut. If you would like to see a compound miter cut being done in one of our videos, when you're finished with this, head over to our latest planter box build where we built 2 boxes. The first box was built on a 5-degree angle on all sides. We needed our trim to have a compound 5-degree miter cut and bevel at the top and the bottom so that it would sit flush on the ground as well as flush with our top. Head on over, watch that video. You'll see what we're talking about. Also, when you're shopping for a saw, one of the things that I have found invaluable is having positive stops, not only on my base, but on my pivot for my bevel cuts. A positive stop is simply a notch cut into the saw's guide, as you see in this video right here, that allows the stop of the saw at a particular angle. My saw has 0, 15, 30, 45 on both sides, and my bottom has the same plus a 22.5 degree for crown molding. This is something that you might not use on a daily basis. As a matter of fact, I very rarely use my bevel positive stops, but they have come in extremely handy. And when you go to cut something that's going to need them, you'll be glad you had them. Same as before with blade diameter. If it doesn't break the bank and you can afford it, make sure you add this option when you're shopping for a saw. Next, let's talk about whether you want your saw to slide or not. The benefit of having a sliding miter saw is probably obvious. It allows you to cut much wider material My saw, for example, will cut all the way through a 2x12 when I extend my slide fully. Now, a downfall to having a sliding miter saw, and this goes for any brand at any price point, there will be slight deflection when the mechanism is fully extended. I have not found anything I've cut in my shop where this was even noticeable, let alone a problem. I am not in any way, shape, or form sponsored by Delta, but I will tell you this is the third saw I've had in the shop, and I have been completely pleased with this particular saw. Another benefit to a sliding saw is you have the ability to throw down a stop on the right that keeps your blade at a specific height. This will allow you to walk your material left and right and cut a half lap if you do not have access to a table saw. All right, let's talk about laser guide or shadow line or none of the above. I have had saws that have had all three options. My original miter years ago had nothing. My last saw I had a laser guide, and this one has a shadow line. I have found that the laser and the shadow are both extremely accurate. The shadow is a little blurry, as you can see, while you're far away from the material, but as you bring your blade down, you can not only see the shadow line of the blade, but you can see all of the kerfs as well. This thing will give you a very accurate cut. If it's in your budget, like I said before, this is an option you definitely want on your miter saw. Finally, let's talk about price and selection. As you can see, scrolling through the big box store here, there is a ton of selections just by typing in miter saw. I think there was 154 that popped up, ranging from right under $100 to over 2,000. One of the filters you can immediately eliminate is if you're not taking this mobile and onto job sites, get rid of the battery. It's not going to be enough for you in a permanent mounted location in your shop. Next, it's just personal preference, 10-inch or 12-inch, which is going to meet the needs of your shop. Do you want sliding miter features or non-sliding? Do you want compound on both sides of the bevel? Do you want to be able to go left and right? Or do you want to only go one way? All of these options are available, and in the end, it boils down to two things: personal preference and what you can afford. Do yourself a favor, get the biggest, baddest saw you can afford. Do it right the first time. Don't try to upgrade after the fact. When you realize you didn't buy the right saw, you're going to be disappointed. Good luck. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope it helps someone out there out. And if you wouldn't mind, go down below, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, share this with friends and family, and we'll see you on YouTube.